everyone, welcome to NewszNow. We have with us Anik Dutta. Mr. Dutta, we are seeing another film on the cards and it's going to be exciting. It's got Abhi Chatterjee. Tell us about this film. And of course, it's got a bit of Feluda and Satyajit Ray. Am I right?
Yeah, kind of. In the sense that after Aparajita was done and dusted and, all the foreign releases, and I had gone to the UK, to all the places where it's released last, and then I came back, and this was kind of already in my head because for the centenary, I didn't know whether I'll get a permission for the biography of sorts which I had done in Aparajita. So this was in my mind already, but then I fell ill, I was unwell, and then I was hospitalized, so I lost about almost a year. And then now, after starting also, we've already shot it, and the rough cut is over. So we are waiting for the next, lot of fund release to do the rest of the post-production. It's, in the sense, it's called Joto Kando Kolkatatei, which is a takeoff on Joto Kando Kathmandute, which is already a Feluda story. And the main character is being played by Abir is called Topse. Because a lot of people had named their sons Topse after, Feluda became popular. And in fact, I had given my friend's son his pet name Topse, and today he's doing music and editing in their film, which is shot by his brother and directed by brother's girlfriend. Payal has done brilliantly at Cannes. So Topse was also part of the film. Now this Topse is not a professional sleuth. He is just kind of a regular chap from Calcutta, and he gets involved in something which needs a little bit of solving of a puzzle which is very common to a Feluda story.
What kind of puzzle is that?
It was a letter which was left behind by. It's a little complex plot. There are two parts. One is the, old story and a new story. The old story is based in the 60s. And someone in the search of her roots came from Bangladesh and traces her roots back to old decrepit house in North Calcutta, and a letter where something is written in the riddle form. And to get there, what it is indicating, you need to solve the puzzle.
Oh.
So that's where a bit of Mogojastro is, which is like your brain acts like a weapon. That's used by Topse, which is played by Abhishek, and this girl who's come down from Bangladesh. And the two go in search of what they are looking for. So, in brief, this is the story.
And when it comes to detective stories, it's always gripping for the audiences because, of course, there's a hangover of Satyajit Ray of Feluda, and yet the detective plot seems to work really well.
In fact, it's, I think, a bit overdone now. For a long time, suddenly the Byomkeshes and Feludas and also the other Shabors and stuff like that. And everyone, all the novelists who are known for their other kind of novels, have also done something with a detective, created their own sleuth. So this time I did not want a professional, someone because you don't get come across detectives who are by profession detectives. At the most, you have these agencies which are deployed for corporate purposes, corporate spying, or trying to find, or maybe to check on a philandering husband or something like that. So, but this is different. It is someone who's a Feluda freak, because his name is also Tokshu. In fact, both of them. So, while they're going about it, and there are a whole lot of Easter eggs, because both are very conversant with all the stories. So, whenever something comes up, they say, you remember, in Badshah Yangti, this was the case. So, they keep referring to that. The deviation in this story is that it's not a professional detective who's solving it. And this are two of them who are, and very often we used to try and do this when we were young. We were almost solving puzzles when they were not, like in school, high school. Something precious got misplaced. And so we all set off to try and solve the case, that who's the culprit. Something like that.
What about Abir, choosing Abir for the film? How do you think the audiences are going to react to Abir in this role in the film?
I don't really pay that much. Yeah, of course it works, it helps if someone is popular and someone is a star. But I don't cast anyone because he or she is a star or well-known. Only if he or she fits. As you know, in Aparajito, there weren't any big stars. Which proves my point, that first there has to be a creative. I always thought Abir had the look of both. Physically, he's the closest Feluda I've seen. And otherwise, he has a very, regular guy next door. He's tall and all that, but he's not the, typical macho or, a very hero-looking kind of typical chap. But, regular guy on
and
the
exactly
streets.
What you needed for the role.
Yeah. Who kind of transforms into this thing. He is interested in Calcutta and, the history of Calcutta. So a lot of it has come in here. There's some backstory which is set in the 60s, and also currently this guy, Abhi particularly, he's read up and he's done a book on old Calcutta, on British Calcutta.
When we're talking about Calcutta in your films, apart from the fact that you've been here, the kind of aspects that you try to bring into your films with the Kolkata element, what are these elements that you try and add, apart from all of us in our day-to-day lives, what we see of the city?
No, first of all, I try to avoid the cliches. Like, if you talk about a church, St. Paul's is known to everyone. But there's a very interesting church called St. John's Church, which
Yes.
I have been visiting, and even small churches. Calcutta Heritage Walks, and basically old Calcutta. And the Calcutta I grew up in. Today, the Calcutta I live in is not the Calcutta I grew up in what should I say, in character and personality, in the kind of people who would roam the roads and the tea shops and the coffee houses. The coffee houses are very different. They're expensive. And
that time things were much simpler.
Yeah, we used to sit with tea which cost us 2 or 3 or 4 rupees and sit there for hours yapping and chatting. And the guy who used to run that shop would indulge us. There were tea rooms really, and a lot of the intelligentsia etc. used to visit these coffee shops. Well known, even Ray himself used to go to one. So very often that Calcutta comes back to my this thing. It's basically nostalgia, I would admit, and not the present day strange Calcutta that I live in.
Which means that also recreating some of these aspects in present day
history
Kolkata.
recreation is there in the old story. Because Park Street then trinkas where there were crooners singing. They're trying to bring that back. But, well, so that is there in that old story. And now, even now, if you go to some of the places of interest, so I have shown a bit of old Calcutta.
So showing a bit of old Calcutta and shooting, how has it been for you for this film when you have to recreate? Like you said, there is Park Street, there are these places. But in terms of the audiences, for them to connect to old Calcutta, and we're talking about present day, the younger generation who's going to these newer coffee shops.
I've also shown newer coffee shops. I've also, and from their point of view, because these two characters, Abir and the other girl is from Bangladesh. So these two are the new generation. So we show them in the coffee shops now, and also other places, parties which they're having, terrace parties and all that.
It's an amalgamation of...
but they are also interested in this. They have not discarded Calcutta and distinctiveness of Calcutta where it lies.
You've grown up in Kolkata. What is the Kolkata that you like?
I just told you.
That's the Kolkata you like in terms of the films, in what you would like to show in films. But you and what you would do on a normal day in the city.
Calcutta I like is the Calcutta which is missing today, which is intelligent, interested in a lot of things, maybe not very successful commercially always, and where people don't chase money too much, but are hugely into pursuits of creative pursuits. So it's art, music, theatre, cinema, and they discuss that, and even sports. Huge soccer fans, cricket fans, spend time in the tea room discussing a test match, which I used to love. That 5 years, slightly laid back kind of thing.
That's the
Not in
Kolkata
a rush, yeah. And the art does, of course, which is slowly going away. That kind of art, right? There was no Google that time. So I used to go and sit with these, the slightly elder people, talking about everything. I got to know whatever was going, the kind of Wikipedia, to just sit there and listen to them.
And that was a joy of Kolkata then. Even today, we have the chai dukans. Yes, there are youngsters going to coffee shops.
They are stalls.
Yes.
But the dukans, where there are chairs and tables, there's one I found.
Coffee house.
Coffee house has also changed. The people who would go there were very different. And the other one where Ray and all used to sit, which is on Central Avenue, that's gone. That's gone, and that's turned into too much color now. Calcutta had the theme was slightly monochromatic, and there was a certain look also, mustard and all that. Now suddenly this, and Calcutta doesn't go with it. The sudden, and it was, whatever was happening organically.
It was not forced.
And there was a lot of British influence, and hence the houses looked a similar type. Either the brick lane look, the red brick houses, or this mustard yellow houses with green, what do you call that? Those window...
The window panes.
The
shutters.
Yeah, the shutters. So that has, if you suddenly make it pink or blue or something, it changes. It's very, for me, this new forced, color palette on Calcutta, it really pains it affects my aesthetics. The Calcutta aesthetics, some of the structures or whatever you call it, the installations and the frescoes are horrible, and I feel embarrassed.
You were mentioning that it is about giving the audiences what they want, and there is a sizable audience that is willing to look at Kolkata through your eyes. And you were talking about Aprajito and what you realized about
I pleasantly discovered that my liking, I do not make films or make decisions for the films purely looking at what the audience response would be. Of course, I know that there's a certain amount of investment and it has to come back. So I can't just make something very esoteric and which is kind of beyond them in the subject or even in the form. If I try too much with the form. But within that, I would like to do the films that Ray famously said that I make the films that I want to do. Otherwise, what am I doing here? Because from Bengali feature films, you don't make a lot of money. Sometimes the producer does. Like Operative.
A book after that as well, so things have gone well.
So, in the sense that one has to find a middle ground where I do what I like, otherwise there won't be any, what should I say, my heart will not be there. So communicate and pleasantly my conviction got reconfirmed when I saw a huge response from the public to what I was doing.
From Bhuter Bhavishya till now, a lot has changed. What are the kind of films you would like to continue making? What is the creative aspect that you
would like to make different kinds of films and not stick to one genre or one kind of subject. Or sometimes, filmmakers are associated with a particular kind of this thing. Let's say Alfred Hitchcock. One looks for suspense, murder, and all that, basically thrillers. But with someone like Ray, who's been my inspiration. He's done musicals, he's done detectives, he's done very serious stuff. He's done films which are set in rural India. He's done very city. There's a trilogy on Calcutta city and so on and so forth. And he's also tried a little bit of experimentation with the form. Because if you see something like Pratidwandi, it's very different from even the making of his, other films, which are very classical, normally in nature. So I would like to try out. I don't know. I started very late making films. Before that, I was making advertising films. There I had a lot of fun because I was doing all kinds of stuff and small stuff. So that one I would like to carry on. The last film which I did, unfortunately, I was not well. So I missed out on certain sections like the Darjeeling part and some few days in Calcutta. But apart from that, I enjoy the act of filmmaking at every stage, and I like to do it that way. Till such time that I can carry on. The day I realize that I should stop, I will stop.
Like you stopped advertising films and got into films, so...
No, I was doing both. Right now, because of my health situation, for about a year or year and a half, I used to make a living from advertising films. Directing Bengali films, you can't run your household and run your kitchen.
But is that a sad state of affairs of Bengali cinema in Kolkata?
Whether sad or not, the economics works like that. The kind of money, obviously it's a simple demand-supply. I was enrolled in economics classes, though I didn't attend too many. But the basic thing is demand and supply. So you see all over India the big supply of body of this thing. And if you want to get into a certain kind of films, which are these blockbusters, so-called blockbusters, it's far simpler. It is going to happen. Even blockbusters here will not make that money because that demand is not there. The huge body of people, which was the case with, let's say, European cinema versus Hollywood. Brilliant films got done. And not only in Bengal, brilliant films are being done in fact, I would say more than Hindi films. Some of the better films are being done in various regions. Like I saw some brilliant films in Gujarat, in Odisha, in Northeast, and Marathi, one of the best films I've seen in years is a Marathi film, and which got its recognition worldwide. But obviously, those films will not make a lot of money. So, when we make a film, we have to also keep in mind and not spend that kind of money. That it will be more or less at least break even. So that's why our thinking has also become a little economical. So we know I can't create a set whenever I want. So I have to look for locations which are there and maybe do a little bit. Where you can't, then also you improvise. So I think it makes you sharper. If you have certain constraints, then you are a little more imaginative, perhaps.
The last question we're going to go to, and this is a little different from films. Having growing up in Kolkata, we all have been talking politics since years. And right now we've just got done with elections. What is your take on how things have panned out in the country?
Both in the country and the state, it's terrible. It's terrible. And this has been happening over the last decade or more. There's a certain consciousness, social and political consciousness in Calcutta. So, among with other things, these seem to have gone or very, very restricted to a few people who are what is called in Marxist parlance as progressive. People are very regressive now. Like in Bengal, religion was never an issue in the elections. Now it is, very much. And it's polarized based on that, and there's a binary which has been created, which was not there even 12, 13 years back. So, and elections are being fought on grounds that depress me. I wouldn't say that there are some very bright young people coming up, but they are not getting elected. It's almost like that the bad will get elected and the good will not. So how long can you hold these people? Why should they keep doing this, keep losing? And they are our assets. Some of them might have a lot of idealism. But at the end of the day, they're being supported by their father or the wife or whoever and not making a single dime. And at least the recognition that what they are doing, that is not being shown through our voting. So it's pretty depressing actually.
Things are not as expected and these elections were different. A lot needs to change. Thank you so much, Mr. Dutta, for speaking to us. There's a lot that has been said and we look forward to his upcoming film. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more.